We've been talking about HAF, the Homeowners Assistance Fund, for about a year. This is a huge pot of money that the federal government gave to the states to then give to homeowners that live in those states to help them with back mortgage payments and other things that the federal government said the states could use that money for. Now, that has been a program with mixed results, mostly because up to this point, there's been a lot of limitations as to who can get the money. However, there's been a recent change that's going to open up the floodgates of money for a lot of people who have had problems paying their mortgage since January of 2020. I've done dozens of videos on HAF, the Homeowners Assistance Fund, on how you can use the money, how to apply for it, who qualifies, who doesn't, and the things that you need to do in order to qualify. However, that program has had mixed results because a lot of people who, when they went to apply, didn't get the HAF grant because of certain limitations. Now, last week, there was a huge change in what the government has said the states can do with the HAF money, specifically allowing a lot of people who didn't qualify for HAF before to now apply and possibly qualify. Now, we're going to talk about that specifically, and we're going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if we go to the HAF U.S. Department of Treasury website, there's a nice little website here, and it has a bunch of things that you can look at in order to determine if you qualify for HAF. Now, we're going to go straight into the HAF guidance that came out on August 8th of this year. Now, as you can see, there is an introduction and a couple things. Now, the big change, the thing that we're going to talk about now, is that it's not officially in this, but it's very subtle, but you need to read it in order to understand. They have removed the requirement that you first apply for a loan modification before you get a HAF grant. Now, that doesn't mean that the states are still not going to put obstacles in your way to get the HAF grant, but the people who have been denied before because they didn't apply for loan modification now can go ahead and apply because it seems that that requirement is gone. So we're going to look at that and the things that you can use the HAF money for right here. So the big thing and the thing that people don't really understand is that there are very strict income guidelines for people who want to get a HAF grant. Now, it depends on which one the state uses. Some of them are 100% of the area medium income, and I've talked about this in other videos as how you can determine where you fall in this income guideline. It's a very specific amount of money, and it's actually pretty generous. So don't immediately write it off saying, "Oh, there's no way that I can qualify," because you still might be able to qualify. But we're not talking about that in this video. There are other videos on this, and I will do other videos specifically on this specific thing of income as it relates to HAF. But in this video, we're just going to show you that the eligibility has opened up. So we're going to skip over a lot of this stuff here. Now, the one thing that's still the same is that you have to have a financial hardship. You can't just not pay your mortgage and have no reason for it. So you need to have some sort of financial hardship that the state will determine as being viable. So if we look at where is it? We're going to go down to the qualified expenses. This is the thing everybody gets excited about because this is the list of things that you can use the HAF grant for that a lot of people are applying for. Now, the big thing here is the first one, which is the mortgage payment assistance. Mortgage payment assistance is exactly what it sounds like. Mortgage payment assistance means that you are using the money to pay back money that you didn't pay either during forbearance or that you were unable to pay. Now, the financial assistance to allow a homeowner to reinstate a mortgage or to pay other housing-related costs related to a period of forbearance, delinquency, or default. That is very broad. That means that you don't have to have been in forbearance. You could actually have just defaulted. A lot of people weren't able to get into forbearance for whatever reason, defaulted. Now they're able to apply for this HAF money because it is pretty much open to anybody who defaulted. Now, this is the thing here that I like. Mortgage principal reduction, including with respect to a second mortgage provided by a nonprofit or a government entity. So, mortgage principal reduction. That means that a lot of people can use the HAF grant to pay down their mortgage, and then that makes their mortgage easier to pay. It's specifically the second mortgages. People who are delinquent on their second mortgages can possibly use the HAF grant. Now, don't get too excited because the HAF grants have limits. In Florida, it's $50,000. And if you're over that, you don't qualify because the state will only give you HAF grant if it actually cures your problem. They're not going to give you money if it doesn't actually fix the problem that you are intending to the problem that you have, meaning that if you're late $80,000 or $100,000, the state's not going to give you $50,000 to get you closer. So you're going to have to come up with money on your own to get you closer to the $50,000 HAF grant limit. So this is another thing. They will pay for late electric, gas, internet service, that sort of thing. And I've seen these HAF grant. I've actually seen these already. I have clients have come in with these HAF grants, and it's true. They do pay your internet. They do pay your late electricity bill, and they do pay a certain amount of money to make you current. It's a very real thing. It's just not made up. So I vouch for it. Now, they also go through a lot of things. This is the one that's the most controversial. This is the one that a lot of people are interested in, which is that the government will help you pay for things for you to fix your home if you're going to be displaced. Now, I actually have not seen this in practice. The state of Florida does not give money for this. Other states might, and this is ever changing. So it's possible that in the future, the more money will open up, or the states will release more money for this purpose. But for right now, it doesn't seem like this is really something that the states are doing. However, I would not stop applying. If you're going to be displaced because your roof needs to be replaced and you're gonna have to move out of the house, it's worth applying to the HAF grant because the federal government does tell the states that they are allowed to use that money for that purpose. So apply. Now, if we keep going down, there's a bunch of other things here, and I'm going to put a link to this document in the description box so you can check that out and you can read it for yourself. You can see the different things that the HAF grant can be used for. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The eligible homeowners section. This just basically says that if you had a financial hardship after January 21st of 2020, including a hardship that began before January 21st, 2020. That means that you could have lost your job before January 21st, and the hardship manifests after January 21st, you would still qualify. Now, this is a pretty liberal, pretty open-ended, liberal criteria. They're not being very strict about this because, you know, pretty much everybody in the United States suffers some sort of financial hardship for the most part after the coronavirus financial crisis hit. And that coincides with this January 21st deadline here. So I would not get too scared about that. So this all talks about income determinations. We're not going to get into that into this video because it's too complicated for this type of video. But this is something, it talks about how to apply, which is you just need W-2s. There's also, it's easier to apply because the income verification documents that they're requiring are less now. So this is another thing that they're talking about here. Again, I'm not going to get into that into this video. I will do a video on that in the future, but just know that it is easier. Now, in the past, in this section here, it would get into this whole thing that if you wanted HAF money, you first had to apply for loan modification. That's not in here anymore. That means that you can just straight up apply for HAF and see if they give you something. Now, the states might still be requiring that you first apply for loan modification, see if your lender gives you something. However, that's not in this federal guideline anymore. And specifically, this is even more that the government has put in here. The federal government has put in the Treasury discourages HAF participants, and what they mean by HAF participants are the states. It doesn't mean you; it means the state. Those are the HAF participants from imposing additional eligibility criteria such as foreclosure status, credit score, bankruptcy status, to the existence of liens on the property or previous cash-out refinances. HAF participants that wish to include additional eligibility criteria beyond those described in this guidance and other program documentation issued by Treasury must explain with specificity how those criteria would further the objectives of the HAF of the HAF program, including how they would help the program reach eligible homeowners. So that's not to say that the states might not come up with some machination as to why they want you to first apply for a loan modification and then apply for HAF. However, HAF here says you don't need to. So the Treasury Department's telling the states, go ahead, open it up. Let's see what they do. So that's pretty much what we're dealing with here. This is a very good program for people who are not able to pay their mortgages. I would say that this is really going to stop foreclosures for a lot of people, because sometimes you only fall behind $20,000, $25,000, and in the past that was enough to put you in foreclosure. HAF will stop that. Now, this is not a permanent program. This pot of money will eventually be spent. So if you're in a situation that you cannot pay your mortgage, you've fallen behind, and the amounts aren't over the HAF limits, apply. If you still don't, if you get denied because it's too much money, you're going to have to apply for a loan modification first. However, if you're within the HAF limits, then you need to apply for HAF first, because it's pretty much an easy thing now. Go for it. Let me know how it goes, because I'm really interested to see if my videos help people get their HAF grants.